Greetings and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Run, and today we're playing as Eve, with a guest star appearance, The Void. And I really like whenever you have a mishmash of different characters kind of combined together. So let's say you're playing as Cain and you find the D6. You kind of have both the benefits of being Isaac and Cain in that situation, and I find that usually that results in pretty powerful runs. And this run in particular, because we find the Void, we kind of have the best of both worlds. We're Eve with our damage up at 1 health, we can damage ourselves to actually get to 1 red health, and then we have the Void because it allows us to kind of consume active items, and it results in some really crazy combinations. And it's gonna happen in about a minute. I don't want to spoil it because it's one of those rare things that happens like once in 500 runs, and if you haven't done so or played the daily for any reason, I would advise you to actually take the seed, and which is in the description, enter it in your game, start up the game as Eve, and then actually play this game for yourself if you want to resume watching. Of course, you can just keep watching. I won't hold a grudge for that, obviously, but it's one of those things that I feel like you should experience for yourself, and the fact that this happened on today's daily is quite an exquisite thing indeed. So, we always have a decision to be made, should we keep the Razor Blade, which is obviously one of those items that just works so well with Eve. We can essentially damage ourselves, we get a damage up, we can get ourselves to 1 red health, and every time we are at 1 red health or less, we are in the core of Babylon state, which means our DPS overall is increased. But not only that, whenever we damage ourselves, we also get the Angry Bird, which deals damage to us. So there was a decision: should I take the Spider Butts to actually slow enemies in the room, or should I take the Razor Blade? And I think there's no decision to be made there. I think the Razor Blade is just such a more superior item in that case, because we do get the damage up, and the slow isn't worth that much. Of course, all of that decision making goes out of the window when you find this Devil Deal. Not only does this Devil Deal have 3 active items, which is something you never see, but it also has the Void. And the Void allows us to kind of suck all of those up, and the things just get better with cherry on top is that one of those items is Mega Blast. Wow, this is something that you're not gonna see often, and when you're blessed by RNG, such a thing happens, is really, you're just asking yourself, was I that good of a person today that I deserve this? And I think the answer to that is mostly no, but still, even some bad of us to deserve some luck every now and then. I'm not saying you're bad people, obviously, I'm just kind of paraphrasing here, but this is indeed one of those things that is just not bound to happen very often. And the fact we even sucked up the Razor Blade is offset by the fact we have the Nail, which means every time we do use our Void, we're gonna damage ourselves, but we're also gonna get a Spirit Heart back. But the coup de grace of this whole ordeal is definitely the Mega Blast. We essentially with the Void, it's balanced in that sense that whenever you suck up an item, it becomes a 6-round charge. You can't really control which item you're gonna use when, so it's balanced in the sense that it's kind of cumbersome to use. You really don't have complete control over it. But with Mega Blast, let's just ignore the fact that the Void can suck up any other items. Let's just say that at this point, this is just Mega Blast with a 6-round charge. This is already super broken, because not only does it allow us to essentially use Mega Blast forever, because what Mega Blast does, if you don't know, when you use it, it persists through rooms, and every time you kill a room, you gain 1 charge to it. And because the original item has 12 charges, usually you're not gonna be able to complete all of those 12 charges again, which means you still have to clear like 5 rooms maybe, and then you can use it again. But with 6 charges, there's a really good chance that you're gonna get all of those 6 charges and you will be able to use it immediately again. So that's great, but that's not the only benefit of having the Mega Blast in the Void. With the Mega Blast, if you have the batteries on the floor and if you pick them up, they only give you 3 charges. It's more balanced that way. If it only required 1 battery charge to charge it up fully, that would be quite broken, because you could amass it, and there's some items that just give you a lot of battery charges. But if you have, essentially what they do is they kind of reduce that power of batteries and only allow you to get 3 charges per battery for Mega Blast. That was quite a difficult sentence to say, but essentially you need 4 charges to fully charge Mega Blast when you have it. And in this case, because we have the Void, we don't really need to do that. Essentially, when we pick up a battery charge, the Void is maxed to the full. And not only do we get another use of all of our active items, but Mega Blast recharges instantly. And that is just amazing, When I had the Void the first time I played Evelloyon, I thought it was quite a cumbersome item, but also one of those items that you really can't get rid of. If you find an active item that is worse than whatever you have, you can just suck it up, or if it's a really bad item, you can just ignore it. And that's really it, like there's no counterplay, there's no strategy, there's no measure. So I thought the Void was one of those boring items. I never considered that the Void can actually have a benefit that is this huge. And of course, this is a very rare occurrence, that you're not gonna find this in the wild much often. And the fact that it did happen is, like I said, a really lucky coincidence. But eventually, as it is with Isaac, these things will happen, and when they do happen, they're glorious. And I just can't gush enough about how much I like the synergy. And I really think you should play it, because it's fun to talk about, but I think it's much more fun to play as. And of course, like I said, there's no real strategy here to be taught about. Maybe I can tell you how to use Mega Blast. Be careful when you use it, so when you enter a room, just avoid the spikes. Try to kill enemies with it, which should be rather simple, because you do have Mega Blast. And yeah, that's pretty much it, just save it for the boss if you can, kill the enemies with it, and just use it again as soon as you can, because it will do that pretty useful. But of course, all joking aside, it's this run has evolved into more of a, because whenever you have a really strong run in the daily run, you kind of have to go above that. Sure, this is a 1 run now, there's no question about that. But we also have to think about our score, because obviously we want to perform the best we possibly can. And just winning the run is not going to be enough. We need to find a way to actually break the game to get a lot of consumables, because if you imagine this combination gets to a lot of people, one of them will eventually find a way to get more consumables. And when they do get more consumables, that means that their overall score will be much higher. So we kind of have to start thinking in that direction, and you really can never relax if you're trying to go for score. And I know it's a bit, that's why probably people don't really like daily runs, but for me that's what makes them exciting, because even though you have this really strong run, you might be feeling that RNG has finally blessed your soul, and finally you have a run that you can just win and stomp over. The struggle is never over, you still have to worry about other things. In this case, I didn't really find a way in which we could have done that. We got a sack of sacks, which is maybe a good start, because it gives us a sack, we get some batteries, and maybe if we find a black heart and maybe another room with that, we can get some consumables. But the only thing I managed to get was 99 coins. The rest of the consumables were actually pretty scarce, depends how you pronounce it, and I wasn't able to actually amass any of them. In fact, I missed a lot of secret rooms early on just because I didn't have bombs. Luckily, we had enough keys to open the Hush shop and the Hush chest and things like that, but I don't think I picked up any of the items, and even the chest didn't contain anything of value. At this point, we're really looking forward for any 2 of cards, maybe like a 2 of diamonds. In this case, even the Ace of Spades or the Ace of Clubs would be quite useful, just because we can spawn or find a room which has maybe a lot of hearts and then just get those into bombs, because we don't really have a use for hearts. Even though we have the Razor Blade, we can't really use it that effectively, because it's on a 6-room charge. And I know I said before that essentially you're just sucking up multiple items, but because the Razor Blade is supposed to be an item that you can use indefinitely and gives you some benefit, being on a 6-room charge is kind of a downfall for us, because you lose that flexibility of using it in situations you need to use it in. But of course, like I said, that's not a big problem. We have Mega Blast, you don't really have to worry about anything. But yeah, I didn't really find a way to break the game, which was kind of disappointing, but at least the run was fun, That's what I always say, even if the run is, when you finish a run, you usually can feel pretty disappointed, because things didn't go maybe as expected. You felt weaker, you maybe didn't finish well, and your score just isn't that high. But the fact that if you had fun with it, I think that's what's most important, and I usually strive for that, and that's why I pick up crazy items like Marked, even though maybe I shouldn't have, and Cursed Eye, and in this case, of course, Mega Blast with the Void. Just crazy, like crazy. I know that this daily maybe wasn't the most exciting to watch or listen to, but I hope that my genuine excitement has brought you some pleasure, at least in the sense that I was able to experience this crazy thing. And of course, my excitement has toned down a bit, because this is post-commentary, which means I record and edit first and then actually add the commentary. But still, I do hope that you enjoyed it, because I did, like this is one of those dailies that I feel like I could just watch and not hear anything and I would still enjoy. And we did finish in 91st, which is, I thought we were gonna be a bit higher, but like I said, whenever you have a strong daily, there's always a good chance that someone is gonna have the same strong daily as you, but also will find a way to get just more consumable bonus. Maybe they'll get hassle overall, or maybe they will just complete the run much faster, because in this case I had the 4,000 time penalty, which is obviously very bad. Like, I should have need 37 minutes to finish a run with Mega Blast and 6 charges, but I did because I'm a slow player. But obviously some people didn't, and they have a much better score because of that. But we did finish in a pretty relatively good place, and I'm happy with the run, and I'm happy with the score, and I hope you enjoyed it as well, and I hope to see you next time.